That's a proper brew. That is a proper brew. Right. Today I'm doing a full career Q&A giving you in-depth, in detail and insight towards the 8-year career I had racing in F1 sim racing / F1 esports. Going over all the details, all the depth, the highs and the lows. We're going to be covering it all in this Q&A video from the questions asked over on my Instagram a few days ago. With that being said, let's jump into the first question. Very much a prominent and major question during the Q&A over on Instagram was why are you retiring, why are you retiring so soon, and basically the theme around retiring. So to answer all those questions into one answer and to give transparency, to be honest, I'm at this point in my career that I feel I could go on for another year, maybe 2 years, but I would only be doing it for money. And I don't want to race just for money. I want to be doing it as my passion, my love, and something that I can really inject my energy into and try to maximize my potential. And I'm at this point that I feel like I have more passion for projects outside of racing, my running, my content creation, my ability to help grow a team, grow junior drivers into the talents and the spectacle that they can be themselves, rather than looking at only myself in that way, you know. And that's really what I have at the core of my heart and the core of my passion at the moment, to be 1, a content creator, 2, possibly a team manager in the future would be very nice for me. That's definitely a goal in the future. But also 3, to be giving people the knowledge and advice throughout my career I wish I had when I was younger, to hopefully let them maximize their talent and maybe go on to win world championships themselves. If I can do that, I'll be a very, very happy person. The next question comes in as, will I continue doing content creation after F1 esports has finished? Yes. Yes, I will. And in fact, I'll be doing more content curation as time goes on, because that's going to be a large part of my career development and career focus going forward. I'm really going to try and expand on the videos that I've done before about trying to advise people on becoming even better drivers, even more confident in their driving ability as well. Previously, I've been under NDAs from the teams that I worked in, non-disclosure agreements, to very subtle details, for example, car setup, ERS, and how to maximize it during quali or a racing situation, purely because I've been competing in F1 sim racing and other sim racing tournaments around the industry. That is all going to change in the future though, and I'm going to have the full ability to be open, transparent and completely honest about all the nuanced details about how to go fast on a specific sim title to maximize your ability going forward. So that is going to be a large part of the content creation. Additionally, live streaming over on Twitch, Kick or any other platform that is in the interest at the moment basically, and how I can be just doing content creation full time as a job going forward. That loops quite nicely actually into the next question, and that is, what is my plan for the future? As I've already alluded to, it's going to be content creation. Possibly in the future, it'll be very cool for me, and it's definitely a big passion to be helping manage and run a team within esports, especially F1 sim racing, because I've been there for so long. It'll be really a nice story for me. It'll be a really beautiful moment for me as well, that if I can become in a position to manage a team, nurture talents, become the best drivers they can be, and the goal would be to win championships as a driver and also to win championships as a team manager as well. Additionally, away from sim racing, I want to be doing more charity work. People who follow me on Instagram and Twitter, they would know that I've recently become ambassador for Sport in Mind charity, about mental health specifically within that charity organization. So those are my 3 key points on my future going forward. Generally, I'm going to try and keep the type of questions that are very similar grouped together so it makes more sense in the video, but now we're going to be moving on a bit more into the actual core career parts of it, whereas before we were talking a bit more about why I'm retiring and what's the plan for the future. Now I'm going to be going into my core memories about F1 sim racing / F1 esports. So this video is probably going to be quite long as well, because I really want to give in-depth answers to every single question rather than just giving 1-sentence answers. So the next question is going to be, what is my top 5 moments from F1 esports? My first memory that comes back to mind, and that in my sort of peak of the mountain of emotional memories, is winning 2018. And yes, it was really nice to go back to back and become the first time two champions and to win another championship in that situation. But to be honest, there was a lot more behind the scenes that went into it than actually just what the camera saw. Of course, the camera saw me being really happy, but being really honest and transparent, I was actually quite insecure going into that season. I'll try and overlay this video with some of the comments going from the 2017 championship finale, but they were very negative. They was very overwhelming in many ways, but I actually turned that into an energy source for myself. I lost a lot of weight going into the season, and I really wanted to go into 2018 and prove that I could win it again, and to silence everyone who was doubting me, who was hating on me and putting negativity on me on the internet. And that was a lot of insecurity for me going into the season, to be honest. But that insecurity got turned into my motivation, and that motivation became determination. And through that, I was able to secure my second world championship. And yeah, 2018 was intense. Actually, I was speaking to this with a friend not so long ago. And yeah, it was like waking up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and often just finishing at 8 p.m. at night. Literally my whole life, from July until when the season finished, I think it was in November, was just F1 game. It was literally just F1 game, and I have no regrets, and it was such a wonderful memory, and I'm so proud to put that much energy into a season and for it to come off in the results. My second biggest memory is actually putting it on pole in the semi-final in London. Actually, we had a Brazil qualifier, and this was the first time I've ever gone to LAN. This was my first ever time doing a sporting competition, or esporting competition, let's say. And yeah, again, I was really unsure of my ability going into this. I knew that I had a good pace. I knew that I had a good pace versus other league racers at the time. But of course, we had the cream of the crop coming over from iRacing, R-Factor. I remember one of the big people in there was Graham Carroll and Ollie Pakala, legends of sim racing, still are. And they were suddenly playing the F1 game, you know. We had Patrick Holtzman as well, super quick on the iRacing platform. And it was really F1 league races from console platforms, Xbox and PlayStation, going up against a sort of best of sim racing coming from PC platforms especially. And yeah, going and put it on pole. I was actually able to put it on pole in front of those 40 people on that day. Out of everyone who qualified for the championship and got to the semi-final, I put it on pole position. Yeah, that was like, I think one of the first moments I realized, oh, I'm actually good at this, you know, I'm actually good at this, I could do this now. And yeah, that is definitely a very rewarding moment for me. The third part of that list is going to be winning my first World Championship in Abu Dhabi 2017. People might have expected that to be first or second on the list actually, but just speaks for how much Brazil qualifying in the semi-final meant to me and meant for my confidence going forward. And yeah, 2017 really speaks for itself. Winning my first ever World Championship is of course a special emotion and something I'll never forget in my life, but also the challenges behind the scenes that were going on. I didn't even have a passport before signing up for the tournament. I'd never been out of the United Kingdom before signing up to the tournament as well. So literally my passport arrived 1 week before flying to Abu Dhabi. My first ever time on a flight was flying to Abu Dhabi. I didn't even know how to check in. I went to the wrong side of the airport. I almost missed the flight. I remember there was quite a few people flying from the UK. I was texting them, but I went to the wrong gate. I just went to the wrong place because I didn't know where to go. And luckily I was able to arrive like 20 minutes before the gate opened so you can go on the flight. But yeah, if I didn't text those mates I had back then to find out where actually the gate was, probably I would have missed the flight and this whole story would have never happened. So yeah, that just shows how new to flying I was and just how lost I was in that environment. And then to be able to go on the flight, go to a new culture, go to a new environment, a completely different weather as well for United Kingdom. UK in November was like freezing, it was cold. But then flying to Abu Dhabi, it was like 26, 27 degrees. It was beautiful laying on the beach before the going to the race. It's fantastic. But anyway, getting back to the main part of the story, there was still just a memory that came back to me in the moment. But yeah, Really beautiful, really memorable, and that's third on my list, is winning the 2017 World Championship. Fun fact, actually, me, Fabrizio, and Sven Cerner, of course, Fabrizio Donoso, we finished 1, 2, and 3 in the championship, and we're the only people in F1 sim racing history to have the previous iteration of the F1 logo on the F1 esports / F1 sim racing trophies. We're also the only people to not have replica trophies as well. So after 2017 going into 2018, they started to give out replica trophies like they do in real life as well. So yeah, basically 2017 is the only winner's trophy that isn't a replica up to this current date in F1 sim racing. What? It's a cool little fact. I quite like that one. Fourth on the list is actually going to be my first podium for Ferrari. It was in 2022 and it was in COTA, and what a race that was. I can't remember exactly where I started, but I remember I was maybe like P8 or something after the first lap, and it was on the wet condition, what I love. I always feel much more confident in the wet condition than the dry condition to maximize my potential, and yeah, was able to climb through the ranks, overtaking multiple cars and then catching the leaders to fight it out on the final sector of the race, lap 28 of COTA, in the final sector to snatch a podium, and my first podium for Ferrari. And behind the scenes, that was so important for me because I signed up to Ferrari in 2021, and of course now it was 2022, and I hadn't even taken one podium for them up to that current time. So for me, I had a lot of pressures on my shoulder to really show what I could do, to show that I could be a positive contribution for the team, and really maximize the result. So that was a huge weight off my shoulders. And if you watch back that interview in 2022, after the race in COTA, you can just see how much I'm smiling, how much I'm happy, because it was such a relief and pressure on my shoulders to get that result and to really stamp in a nice way to round out the season in 2022. The fifth and final part of this question is going to be when I got the opportunity to work on the Mercedes F1 team driver in loop simulator program. And yeah, that was such a cool moment. I think it was December of 2018, I got the opportunity to test the actual Mercedes Formula 1 sim around Abu Dhabi. Well, not around Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi in the sim. I didn't fly to Abu Dhabi. It was in Brackley. It was in Brackley. There we go. And yeah, was able to excel and show what I could do in that situation, and I got offered a job. I got offered a contract to work on the Mercedes Driver in Loop Simulator program for 2019, and I was so honored and so privileged, and it's still such a good memory to be able to work with the best engineers, watch the telemetry of Lewis, Valtteri Bottas back then. George Russell was a young junior driver, so we also had a bit of access to his data. Nick DeFries, Anthony Davidson. Anthony Davidson is absolutely lovely, by the way. Absolutely lovely. One of the best people I've ever came across in the Formula 1 paddock. Superstar, sensational, truly lovely guy, truly normal guy, you know, absolutely love him. It's top-notch, top star. Anyway, getting back to the point. And yeah, was really proud to help develop one of the simulator programs that I was working on at the time, and also to do bits and bobs helping the development on the 2019 car, and then also leading on into the 2020 car. I never got to try DAS, you know, the thing what the steering wheel was going forward and back. Never got to try that. That was a surprise to me just as much it was to anyone else. So it really showed how much they kept it under wraps into the last moment. But yeah, very, very, very cool to work within that program. Moving on into what was my best race of F1 sim racing. I'm going to say my best, it goes down to two races actually. I think it was two races that really defined it for me. It was China 2018. I started P5 on the grid and was able to fight my way up in a 14-lap race of China, because of course back then we did 25% races, then later on we did 35, and now we're doing 50% races as well. So yeah, 14 laps around China, started P5 on the grid, had contact actually with Fabrizio Donoso going down into turn 1. I was sandwiched in between two of the racing points, then was able to work my way up through the pit stop phases to get to P2, catch like 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds to my teammate back then, Daniel Bresde, another legend. Absolutely love that guy. Anyway, so getting back to the point. So was then able to catch up, overtake Daniel Brendon, and then pull out another 1.5 second lead. So in the space of 14 laps on F1 2018, I was able to go from P5 to P1 and then also extend the gap out by like 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. I can't remember exactly, but I'll try to find the graphic for you. And yeah, that was a sensational race for me and really built my confidence to go on to a championship charge there from there on after, you know. After that, I also would say Japan 2022. I actually spun on corner 1, lap 1. I just got caught out by the dirty air. I spun on my own behalf, was totally my mistake. But I went from last, literally dead last in that F1 esports race. And I think I finished P6 at the line in Japan. And yeah, literally in a dry race, went from P last to P6. And yeah, that was a sensational result. And I remember being at dinner, actually, with the bosses of the esports program. I won't say their name on this video because maybe they don't want to, but I'm sure they'll know who I'm talking about. Yeah, was actually going for dinner with them after that race. We went to the famous Montana's like restaurant in Maranello. And yeah, they congratulated me for that race, and that was a really, really nice moment. They actually gave me a Ferrari mug. I still have that to this day. And yeah, that was a cool race. Now we're going to take a little bit of a turn before we go back to happier questions later on. We're going to sort of talk about the lows of the career. I don't want to skip this part out from the video, and I don't only want to talk about positives because I want to be real. I want to be honest. I want to be transparent on this video with you today. And I'm going to talk about the lows of my career as well and how I was able to get through those moments. I would say the lowest point of my career was actually in the middle of the 2019 season. And that was a rough period. That was a really, really rough period going forward. Coming off the back of winning a championship and winning it convincingly. We won it a race early, even while there was double points in the final race. So I think we won 6 out of 10 races in 2018, if my memory serves me correctly. And then, yeah, didn't even win a single race in 2019. We qualified P10 in the first race. We didn't practice slipstreaming behind the scenes. Pretty much every other team was. So yeah, we was just out of coordination, to be honest, in 2019. We was out of sync. The managers who were running the team in 2018 from the agency then swapped over. They went to different roles, different companies as well. There was new managers brought in. I'm not going to speak badly about them because everyone has a learning experience, and I could have definitely done better in that situation as well. But yeah, just we didn't put it all together in 2019, and at that time I was pretty immature mentally, definitely less mature than I am now. And yeah, I really struggled. I really struggled to manage that situation, to find peace in my personal life as well. I had amazing support. I had amazing time away from the track in 2019, but yeah, I got the opportunity to do real life racing. I was able to do Formula Ford. I went testing British F4 as well. So at the start of the year, my life was on the up, was massively on the up. And I had so many opportunities to do real life racing and to be living the dream. And then we arrived to F1 esports, and it just didn't go well. And like I say, I hold my accountability for that as well. I could have definitely done better. But yeah, that was a really rough moment in my career to have the start of the year doing the Mercedes Driver in Loop Simulator program, testing British F4 with Zane Maloney, racing British Formula Ford, able to win 6 times the Rookie Cup from those races that I did. I even did a 24-hour race of Silverstone with some mates, but life was on the up. Life was really on the up, and then it came crashing down with mediocre results during the F1 Sim Racing World Championship of 2019. So yeah, that was the toughest moment of my career. Really what loops into the next question is, how did I come back from that? How did I come down from the lows of my career to maximize and bounce back? And I would say like that's what I was quite good at in my career, is having that mental resilience to try and maximize performance even in the depth of deep bad results, you know. And that's really what I was proud of. And I think my technique in those moments was just to never give up. It sounds so cliche, it sounds so typical, but after a bad race I would go back to my room, and to be honest, I'd be very sad. I would be sat there watching the race. I would be really down, but then I would have about 20 minutes of being down, and then I'll go, right, this doesn't help me anymore. This doesn't support my cause. It doesn't support my nature. It doesn't support anything positive in my life. Whether I need to go for a run to clear my head, or I just simply need to throw a switch in my head right now and go, forget about the past, maximize the future. And that's really what helped me. It didn't make the pain any less. It didn't make the pain any easier from the bad results and the bad stuff that was happening at that time, or the crashes I might have been involved in, a very critical result for a race. Doesn't take those pain away. It doesn't take that pain away. But I believe in life putting like hard stops back in the mind and saying, right, if this is not productive for my future anymore, I cannot be thinking about this negativity, and I need to throw a switch, and now I can only think about the future and not be worried about the past. And by doing that, it was really able to save me and help me in those difficult moments to not let the snowball effect go too far and it become unsalvable from a result, basically. And yeah, that was my technique, and I still employ that in life today, that when stuff is going wrong, just put a hard stop in it and just go, okay, stop thinking about the past. That's negative. That doesn't help me anymore. And only think about the future going forward and how you can maximize your potential. That also loops quite nicely into the next question. How have I been able to do this for nearly 10 years in this industry? What's so competitive, so ferocious as well? And that's really, I think, my key thing in all of that was always just being transparent, honest with myself, my bosses as well. So if I did something bad, if I made a mistake, or if I didn't do something well, I always tried my best to be open, honest, and transparent, because my bosses were not stupid anyway. They're very smart people, hence why they were my bosses and why they were leading the esports programs in Formula 1 teams, and they were trusted by the Formula 1 teams to be there in the first place. So I was always honest. I never tried to deceive people. I never tried to be dishonest or try to do something to help my ego, even if that meant not being honest, you know? So the key theme is just being honest. And through doing that, I believe I was able to build good relationships with my bosses and the people that I worked with, and good accountability through that. What meant when I did something bad, I could be honest with my bosses, and they knew that I would be hard on myself anyway, so they didn't need to tell or bring that to me. And then when I did something well and I was really happy about something, they could also support me because they knew I was genuinely happy and not just putting a fake face on and trying to make people seem to like me more, even if I was lying about something, you know? So that's the key thing for me. And I think that's really what's helped my longevity in this career path, is just being honest in all situations. And that was really a keystone for me. What was the absolute hardest part of my career though? What was the biggest challenge that I ever had to overcome? And I would say that was my sciatica nerve, what basically is connecting from your lower back and running down your legs into your feet. That got pinched basically. Before the season started in 2023, the nerve got pinched and I started to lose feeling. Literally my toes were numb, completely numb. In 2023 to go to that first event. I remember spending hours with chiropractors a week before the race, just trying to get it fixed, doing everything possible to get it fixed. I still went to those first races and it was still numb. And basically what happened, because just spent so long sitting down on it, but spent so long compressing the bottom of my spine, doing practice, doing racing, etc., 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 that it basically pinched a nerve. And now, to be honest, all the way through the 2023 season, some days it was better, some days it wasn't. I would mostly drive with a numb foot. So my toes were numb, and then when going through the race, of course, my foot just stays in one position, just with the throttle, because I can't move it anywhere else. In the braking zones, yes, but that's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 seconds at a time. You don't have enough time to stretch your foot or move your foot. My foot would go numb, to be honest, and I would often finish a race with like a numb foot on my right foot. The braking foot, my left-hand foot, was okay because I could stretch it on the races. I could stretch it on the straights, I should say, and it was mostly okay. But yeah, that was the toughest moment of my career, and that stretched through the 2023/2024 season, and now still happens a little bit. It's massively better because I'm able to get outside and do a lot more running. If you see on my Instagram, I do a lot of running. That is also to help basically stretch out my muscles, to get away from the sim as well, and to get away from sitting down. But yeah, that was the toughest moment of my career. That was the toughest moment that I woke up And halfway through the day, I just realized that I couldn't feel my toe anymore on my right hand foot. Well, toes, I should say, not just one toe, it was all of them. But specifically my big toe, I just couldn't feel it. And yeah, I was sat there like, am I done? You know, am I done? Because I tried driving, I was multiple tenths off the pace, I was literally nowhere. Went to the chiropractors, booked emergency appointments, threw like £1,000 at the chiropractor. Not quite literally, but I literally just threw £1,000 worth of appointments to the chiropractor and went, please just help me before the season starts. Yeah, and yeah, basically that was what happened during the 23/24 season, and I really worked hard on it during the off season to get ready for this season that we're currently in, and it got a lot better. It's much better at the moment, and I'm able to work around it quite a lot. But yeah, some days the foot still goes numb when driving, and yeah, this has been a bit of a podcast telling this one question, but yeah, that was the hardest part. Now let's go back in a happier way and talk about the happy moments in my career. And I think the happiest I ever was in my career was after winning the 2018 championship. Yes, of course, straight away the emotions were so good. But we went back to our Airbnb in London. We had a lot of pizza. That night. We had a lot of celebration. Didn't drink, to be honest. Wasn't really into drinking. So, yeah, just went back, had a lot of pizza, had a lot of junk food, and had a hell of a night. That was a fantastic sleep. Like, that was pure bliss. And then just traveling back the next day, you know, like going back in the car. I lived about an hour and a half away from London where we was racing. I lived up just outside Brackley at the time. So just going back home, and it was this pure emotion of just like, I've done it, you know. And I really remember like the village that I lived in and the people that I knew just saying congratulations, you know, even if they didn't care about esports, even if they didn't care about the industry I was in. The fact that they just came and said congratulations or acknowledged it or talked to me about it, yeah, that was a really special moment. That was a really nice moment in my life. Moving on into what was my emotion after winning my first world championship. And that emotion was just pure disbelief, actually. I didn't believe that I won it. And if you watch my reactions on the broadcast after winning the race, I was just like angry. I was upset in many ways, and I was very confused. And that was actually what was happening inside my head. I was very confused about the whole situation because it didn't feel real to me. I'd never been out of the UK before that weekend. All of a sudden, I was in Abu Dhabi and I just achieved my dream to win the F1 Sim Racing World Championship, well, F1 Esports Championship back then. And I did it on the final lap in very spectacular fashion, and something that I don't even think I could repeat if I tried today, you know. So it's really a situation that after that race, I just had pure disbelief about actually winning it. And then only once they called out my name for the podium and they gave me the trophy, you see me relax, you see me smile, you see me enjoy the moment. And every time before that, after the race finished, you see me quite sad, quite negative, quite upset, and very much disbelief. So that was my pure emotion, disbelief. And then once they announced me to win the championship and realized that it was actually mine, and I did in fact win that championship, I was so happy and relieved. And I just remember after the broadcast had finished, just sitting on sort of this wooden box on top of the villa that we was broadcasting from, and just disbelief, just pure disbelief. And I just couldn't take in what was happening in my life at that moment. And yeah, there's few moments in a life that you can see like picture in picture in your mind, you know, and I'm really lucky that that's one of them for me. And I can remember vividly just that emotion of just picking up the trophy and sitting on that box, leaving the villa that night, leaving the villa for the weekend because we raced on the Saturday, and of course the actual race was on the Sunday. So getting to watch the whole race on Sunday, and just leaving on the Sunday night after the race. And I had all of the people that I looked up from YouTube there. You know, you had Ben Daly, you have Alva, you had Alex Gillen there as well, I believe. And just everybody who I looked up to in that moment, was there, you know, and they said congratulations. The people who made the game, the people who ran Formula One was there. David Coulthard was there, and yeah, I'm really lucky that I can vividly see that in my mind, and I'll have that hopefully for the rest of my life to cherish with and to live on within my mind. So that's been the Q&A to answer of the in-detail questions, what probably I've never really answered before on this channel. I've tried to avoid some of the questions that are a bit more general that I probably have answered before on this channel, or you've probably seen from me on social media, and I really wanted to give an in-detail depth of answer and be completely honest and transparent about everything in my career. So of course, if you have any other questions you would like me to answer, pop them down in the comments and I'll do a written reply to try and just give you more insight to my life, basically to my career. But until the next video, and we will be ramping up the content production again, catch you next time. Ciao ciao, bye bye. Oh, my tea is still warm.